Hey, I'm Matt with Invoke out of Youngstown, Ohio. We are coffee equipment sales, service, and support techs. And today we wanted to kind of go through the brand new model that just came out from Slayer. This is the Slayer Steam Single Group Espresso machine. This is intended for your home. It is also NSF certified, so you can use this as well for your commercial product. Think trailers, think small little pop-up events. We want to go through some of the features and functions that are included with this machine and kind of talk about what we love about it and talk about some of the different ways that it functions. So from the beginning, you can kind of tell it's got the same similar shape that a lot of the Slayer Steam series has. It's kind of designed to look a little bit like a turntable, and that design is noted from across the room. People know this design, they know Slayer, they know Steam, and it's built very close to those standards and aesthetics that you're so familiar with. We have a paddle on the top here that is a 2-position paddle. It is going to work to give you pre-infusion. It can then give you full 9-bar infusion. And if you decide, you can also do a post-infusion before shutting off the end of the shot. We have solenoid steam valves, which are going to open and close with a solenoid valve, electronically controlled. And we also have a hot water tap that has a pre-programmed amount that will shut itself off, or a constant on, so you can go ahead and fill your glass or fill up a drink if you needed to. Some of the features that this has, which is really cool, is a reservoir, so it does not need to be plumbed in to your standard equipment here. This reservoir can be completely detached from the system itself, and the beeping that you're hearing is the machine recognizing that the water is no longer present there, so it gives you an alarm that you can fill up your reservoir before applying it back in there. Because the reservoir can be completely detached, it's going to be really easy to bring it over to a sink where it can be cleaned out. Stagnant water can create a little bit of a biofilm, kind of a slimy little residue in there, so this makes cleaning that and keeping it sanitary really, really easy. All of these are going to be able to be hand washed and brought over to your triple bay sink so you can get it sanitized. You also have a little lid here where you can add in your water whenever it's calling for the water in the middle of the brew. And then you can push this back into place and you'll feel a little snap in place there, letting you know that the water's been securely put into place so the machine can draw it out. This is your drain system, and it does receive a little bit of the overflow from any of the valves that are going to be dropping any of the water into your drain system, so it's self-contained. Very easily removable and can be brought over to your sink to dump out the reservoir water. There is a little bit of a scale slot there, which is reversible, so you can fit a lot of your standard scales right into the drain tray there if you'd like to. It also gives you a little bit of extra room in case you needed to put a larger cup underneath for your catch glass. Included with the Slayer Single Steam is a bottomless portafilter, which is a really neat feature. Not only does it save you a little bit of space that you normally would be taken up by the spouts, but you are now able to see through the mirror and watch your shot start to develop. It's going to give you a lot of feedback in how great your grooming was, whether your puck preparation was accurate, and it's really going to give you an idea if you're channeling the shot at all, which is instant feedback. You're able to see it in the mirror, you're able to see it because it's a bottomless portafilter, and it's going to pull and give you a little bit of extra space when you're going ahead and pulling your shot into your glass. This does give you a really unique spot to put your typical Akaya scale, so you can be weighing out shots while you're dialing in your machine or when you're pulling a manual shot. Really nice feature to have a dedicated spot for your scale to hang out. You have the barista heads-up display, which is going to be really familiar to anyone who has used the Steam LP before. This has a whole menu in here with a roller button that can be pressed in to make selections to go through your menu here. There is a barista menu, there is a tech menu as well, and there are your usual features that you're going to be looking for whenever you're doing a quick clean to back flush, or a full clean to do an entire cleaning at the end of your day. It gives you the date, the time, and then it will give you the time of your shot, the temperature of your coffee boiler, and the pressure that's inside of your steam boiler there. Very typical in the Slayer Steam series, so it should be a really familiar menu with anyone who has seen this before. If we continue on, we have a manager menu, which is going to give you some advanced diagnostics in here. It's going to help you to program how long that water dose is preset for. You can jump in and turn it down if that's too much water for you, based on time. We're then going to move on over, and you can adjust the steam pressure that's available for you. You can go higher if you do need more steam, or if you're really in a busy environment. And you can adjust the shot light, barista lights underneath for the brightness that they're going to display. A couple options in barista display mode. I always love to see the time and the weight both displayed on the heads-up display there. And we have the auto purge settings, which is a really nice feature too. When you're done pulling your shot, you can remove your portafilter and return the handle to its home position, and it will automatically purge a little burst of water to make sure that your screen is nice and clean before the next shot. And display off settings are really nice too. It's only going to display lit up for about 60 seconds, which helps to keep the screen nice and fresh, and it doesn't burn out those LEDs as quickly. Shot counters are available as well, so you can tell how many shots you've pulled throughout the day, and all of these options are going to be resettable at any point in time. And you can have a power saving option if you wanted it to power down to a lower temperature during the evening and then kick back on maybe about 45 minutes before you restart service. To return to the main barista menu, flicking that handle back and forth will get you back to home. If we go through the options and get you into the tech menu, we'll give you a few more options to control your brew boiler and your steam boiler to make sure those heating elements are on. It gives you priority management, so you can determine which tank you want to have heat up with the most priority. And it does give you the total number of shots that have been pulled on this machine throughout its life. And it can give you all kinds of notifications and new information that might be important during the diagnostic setup. And you can also change the manager password if you want to lock out in case of a shop atmosphere where you want to make sure none of your preset options are changed. Jumping out of here, we are currently in manual mode, which means each position of this handle is going to have a different purpose: pre-brew, full brew, post-brew, and off. If we wanted to jump out of manual and we wanted to program these machines, from the main menu, you can scroll through and find your mode. We are currently in manual mode. If we wanted to go to volumetric mode, we can switch it over to automatic. What this is going to give us is program 1 and program 2, which can be set for different coffee recipes or set for regular and decaf if you decided. In order to access those menus to program them, you can go over to brew parameters, which is only available when you're in the automatic mode. You can choose shot 1, which is the first position, or shot 2, which is all the way to the left-hand side. And jumping into that allows us to change our parameters for this brew. Pre-brew is going to be in time, so we can select pre-brew for a 3-second pre-infusion. And we'll say that we want a 32 gram brew, and then we're going to have another 8 grams for the post brew. What this is going to give us is a 3-second pre-infusion with a total weight of 40 grams yield. Now that that's programmed in there, shot 2 is always going to produce that amount of water through the automatic process. If we were brewing coffee, we would return this to the home position, so it washes off the screen for you, we would then be able to confirm that we got the correct amount by going to calibrate weight. The first shots that I would pull in the morning to make sure that we are dialed in would be on a scale. And when we're done pulling that shot, we will go to calibrate weight for position 2 that we just pulled that shot. And it's going to tell you that the machine expected 40 grams out. We'll then look at the scale, see what our actual yield was, and adjust this up or down based upon what the actual scale reading was, and confirm that with the machine. The machine will now save that calibration setting, and your shots should be much closer to your actual preset time and preset weight for your next shots moving forward. This is something that I would want to do anytime that I'm changing copy. This is something that I want to do anytime that I'm making a change in grind size, and probably periodically throughout the day to make sure that the calibration is still accurate to what we had set when we dialed in the morning. The accuracy of this machine we have found to be plus or minus a gram or less. So once we have calibrated it and we are running our shots and we are getting within that neighborhood there, we can kind of trust this machine to go through and make sure that it's producing the same exact recipe time after time. This is because Slayer is using a 4-magnet impeller inside of its flow meter system, which gives us a really good accurate count, and the number of times that flow meter spins is twice as accurate as some of the other 2-magnet flow meters that are available in the market. With that, let's kind of take a peek inside what this machine looks like. We are fortunate to have 2 side by side, and we have taken most of the panels off of this machine here. What you're looking at is the back of the machine here and the electronic circuitry. You can see that we have a rotary pump that is in place, and you heard how quiet that was when we were actually running it. It is nicely buffered. It's got a really good motor system in there that is wrapped with a rubber gasket to kind of make sure that there's not a lot of vibration carrying through the frame of the machine. You can also see how thick this steel is. It's really well built. It is a very sturdy machine, which does add a little bit of weight to the actual frame itself, but is going to confirm for you that you've got a really good machine on your hands. There's not going to be a lot of flexibility in it, and we're not going to hear a lot of motion or groaning from the actual frame of the machine itself. All of these are controlled by solid-state relays. It is a low-voltage relay signal system that's working off of a 24-volt power supply, and all of the electronics are going to be 24 volts as well, including most of the solenoid valves that are running this system here. It is really easy to access any of the systems that you need to from a technical standpoint. We do recommend that you're using a knowledgeable tech who has been trained in this system. There are a lot of things in here that could actually hurt you should you get in here and make mistakes. So never really meddle in this system without calling someone who is trained by Slayer to make sure that they can accurately diagnose and repair any issues that are going on back here. This is not something you want to be doing on yourself, by yourself, without any guidance from professionals. We have our high voltage system that's going to be supplying all of the power for the elements that heat up this machine. And then if we come in and kind of look over at the top here, you're going to see this is built very much the same as a commercial machine, but in a much smaller footprint. We have our steam tank here, which is producing quite a bit of steam for a machine of this size. And then you can see through a little bit further down there is the coffee boiler that is totally separate unit. So we have 2 completely separate boilers that are producing very accurate PID controlled temperature settings throughout the entire system, making sure that your coffee is brewing at exactly what your brew set point is, and making sure that you've got enough steam to really get through a rush. A lot of the tubing here is really easily accessible for any of the preventative maintenances that need to be performed to make sure that this machine is staying in top notch. And typically the recommendation is that every 3 months we're doing some kind of a preventative maintenance to make sure that all of the wearable and consumable components of this machine are being replaced, some of the gaskets, and making sure that the flow meters and the readings at the valves are accurate. All of the components in here seem to be really, really high quality build. We are looking at an over-engineered machine, especially for the home market, but this is something that's absolutely going to hold up for you in the commercial setting as well. If you're limited by space or you have a mobile unit that you need to have this machine moving around to different locations, this is definitely a really great, robust option for you. If we come on over this way and look underneath the hood of the actual brew tank itself, you can see that it is very similar to the full-sized commercial version of the Steam LP series. We are reading the pressure at the actual brew head itself. So the pressure that you're going to be seeing on the gauge is going to be very close to the pressure that's actually going to be coming out of the puck. We did confirm this with the SCASE, and we are getting very accurate, very reliable, and very consistent results there as well. These levers are controlled by magnets that are holding them in place, and another magnet that is actually reading the position of this switch to let the machine know what your desired command is going to be. All of these are very easily removable, and you can see all of the labels that have been put on here are very clear, very clearly communicated, which is going to make diagnostics much easier from a technician standpoint. Everything is going to be very easy to find, and common stock parts that are kept on a truck for repairs here. And a lot of these parts are going to be interchangeable with standard Slayer parts that are going to be used for the full commercial series, with the difference that it is a 110 volt machine, which is a really cool feature as well. You can see on the back side of this machine, we are running it off of 110 volt power, which means it's very versatile, and it's not going to be commanding a 240 line in order to brew the coffee or get it going. And the final control is going to be the switch on the back, which is going to turn the machine on and off itself if you didn't want to shut it off from the actual control panel. I've already had the opportunity to install this machine in one of our pre-order customers the other day, and it was very easy for me to set up. It was very easy to walk them through how to program the machine, and they left feeling really confident, and they had a lot of control over the volumetric side of it that they hadn't had before. So it's already a really robust machine. I think it's going to be a great fit for a lot of people that are looking for a little bit more control than a standard semi-automatic machine, and still have some of the features that you'll get on really high advanced machines, like really high-end pre-infusion. It's really a dynamic way to explore coffee and the flavors, and how pre-infusion is going to affect the end results of the coffee. We did do a 3-second pre-infusion right back to back to a 6-second pre-infusion with the same dose, same grind side, and same yield, and we were able to really get 2 very dynamic shots of coffee off of this machine that both had very different characteristics to it, from sweetness to body and juiciness as well. So there's a lot to explore with this machine. It's a very powerful opportunity to really kind of have some fun with coffee in the field.